What is going on, my broskies? My name is Toadskii, back again, here to bring you guys yet another One Piece Treasure Cruise video. So today, we are going to be uploading this video relatively late for me. I know that starting tomorrow, as of me recording this video, the treasure map is going live, and we know that recently they've been dropping limit break expansion batches with every single treasure map. So I wanted to get this video out before the treasure map actually went live, so that's what we're going to be doing here today. So we have a bunch of characters up here on the side that we're going to go ahead and talk about. There are 3 Sugofest exclusives, 2 treasure maps, and only a very, very small handful of rare recruit characters. There's not really many here that are going to be really here to talk about, and I don't remember off the top of my head whether either of these characters are actually really good. Let's start things off though with the Sugofest exclusives. So the first one here is going to be 6 plus V1 Shanks. Obviously this relates to the original Shanks as well. The regular 6-star version also has the expansion as well, but let's go ahead and talk about him. So V1 Shanks, one of the oldest legends in the game. I think he was like the 5th or 4th like earliest character in the game in terms of legends. This character here doesn't really see that much play anymore, but he does have a buffed captain effect, so he boosts the attack of side characters by 4.25 if they have a matching slot, 3.5 otherwise, 1.3 health, greatly boosts the chances of psi orbs appearing proportional to the crew's current HP. Yeah, so this is very similar to his original in terms of this part. So if I remember correctly, when V1 Shanks is at like higher HP, you get a higher chance of psi orbs appearing, and the chances of psi orbs appearing is really good. I remember back in the day, to get psi orbs on this character with double Shanks, it was very easy to do so. So that's pretty cool, right? 4.25 is nuts. This is very good because even on like hypothetically like Kizuna Clash, if you need a strong psi captain, yeah, this is very good. This is better than most legends in terms of just boosting a color. Of course, many legends boost multi-colors now or different classes and stuff, which makes them easier to use, but that's a good captain effect. That's really good. His special, unfortunately, is still not really amazing, though. It just reduces defense by 1 turn and does damage to a single enemy. And you get a full board of psi orbs, which is kind of cool, because that'll proc the 4.25 boost, so that's cool, I guess. 7-turn cooldown, that's actually pretty insane. And as for his potential, he gets the new captain ability, special turn cooldown, and some stat boost. What's his stats like? 2095 attack, so 2295. Wow, that's pretty good. This character's pretty good, I'm not gonna lie. This is a great limit break expansion. This is what I want to see. I want to see limit break expansions that make the character from 0 to hero. That's what I like to see, and they did a perfect job doing it with this Shanks. Unfortunately, do I think, spending, basically half of your materials to do this? Probably not. But saying that though, it is a good expansion. You have to face the facts. It actually is a pretty good expansion. So I don't suggest doing it because there's so many other characters that are in the meta right now that you're going to see play with that would prefer to have that expansion compared to a character like that. But he is good. Next Sugofest exclusive is Sengoku, which is an absolute joke of a character. Now, I was actually looking at this the other day, and I'm pretty upset with his expansion. So we were all hoping, especially when this came out on JP, everyone was hoping that, he was going to get a buff captain ability. He was actually going to be usable again. Unfortunately, they missed the mark once again. Stats across the board, he has less attack than Stronghold Shanks. Recovery is good. Health is fine. The attack is a little low for my liking. So his new captain ability reduces cooldown of all specials by 2 turns at the start of the fight. Boosts the attack of characters that are 29 cost or lower, and characters with a cost of 54 by 4 times, and then boost the health and recovery by 1.5. So, honestly speaking, everything about his captain ability, honestly, is fine, except for this part. 29 cost or lower is so bad because there are only a very select few characters that are able to abuse this. Like basically, some of the old rare recruit batches used to be 28 cost and 29 cost, which means that, obviously Sengoku would boost them. But then, as batches came out, they started making the rare recruit characters 30 cost instead of 29 cost. So this means that you can only use some very old rare recruits, or you need to have the unevolved copy of a character to actually use in content. But remember, if a character is unevolved, they can't limit break, so they won't have limit break sailor abilities, they won't have limit break stats, limit break abilities. There is so many effects that you miss out by running characters that are 29 cost or lower, and it's just a huge slap in the face. Honestly speaking, if this was like 40 costs, where you could use rare recruits, limited time units, and like Colosseum units, man, this character would actually see play. But unfortunately, no, he's just garbage. Special is bad also. I mean, the cooldown is 6 turns, which is actually pretty good, but for what he does, it doesn't matter really. INT Orb's beneficial for all characters is also pretty good. But like, yeah, this unit's just kind of meh. Nah, don't even worry about that one. And then the last Sugafest exclusive is going to be Boa Hancock V2. So this, again, is another one that stretches to her regular 6-star form with a buffed captain effect. So V2 Boa is a pretty cool unit, but her captain ability is a little lacking in my opinion as well. So the only thing that changes is the fact that she's now a health booster. She gets a 1.3 health boost, which is a nice touch. And then boost the attack of Free Spirit by a variable factor between 3.25 and 3.75 based on your attack timing. So you need to hit consistently perfects in order to get 3.75, but that's the exact same as her previous version. So the only thing that changed is that the lowest multiplier you can get is 3.25 compared to 3x. And just the health boost. The health recovery is still the same. So what they really needed to do here is make it like a flat 3.75 or a flat 4 times. That's what they needed to do in order to make her, I guess usable in my opinion. And she goes into 10 turns, which is actually pretty good. Her stats are relatively low. Like, that recovery is really good, but those are pretty low for limit break expanded stats. Honestly, I feel like Sengoku's a better limit break expansion compared to V2 Boa. Like, that's really underwhelming. And we can quickly gloss over the other version of Boa, because obviously the 6+ is a free spirit booster, where she is this one here is a shooter booster. So this captain effect, the previous one was a 2.5 to 3.25, depending on your tap timing, and then they buffed this to 3 times and 3.5 times. Like, that's a decent buff considering what she used to do. And you still get the health boost as well. Like, this is a much better buff. This is 1,000 heal per turn, goes to 1,200. Like, this is a huge buff compared to what this one was. But yeah, the 6+ just doesn't get much of a buff at all. So unfortunately, this month, the Sugafest exclusives aren't all that. You should definitely save your materials for other rare recruits, or some of the other characters that we'll talk about. So speaking of other characters, the first one we'll talk about in terms of the other units, we'll get into the treasure map units. So Cavendish and Sabo are the ones that are getting expansions this time around. And remember, treasure map characters don't get buff captain effects with expansion. They only typically get stats and cooldown. So yeah, that's a pretty nice attack boost. You know, 200 additional attack. Yeah, stats are fine, I guess, for a free-to-play unit. And he goes down to a 12-turn cooldown. For what he does for 12 turns, that's pretty impressive, because he removes beneficial effects, which is obviously pretty useful to have. His health recovery unit, badly matching orbs into matching, and then is a 1.75 attack and orb booster for Driven. So it's a pretty good unit, but again, 12 turns, it's whatever, but it's just Driven aren't like a super amazing class. So I wouldn't suggest doing it unless if you literally have like a bunch of really powerful Driven units and that's like your main team that you like to use, and you really want to use Cavendish, then maybe, but I feel like you're better off using your materials elsewhere. So the next of these treasure map units is Sabo, that's getting one this month. I'm a pretty big fan of this treasure map unit. I've used him a lot back in the day when I was using V1 Katakuri a lot, before his Super Evolution. This character was like such a god tier unit for V1 Katakuri. But stats across the board, yeah, acceptable for a free-to-play unit. And cooldown goes down to 12 once again. So yeah, it's very similar. Again, like, if you use this character a lot, I would suggest it. But like, you're not going to lose anything out of not having him expanded. Like, it doesn't make that much of a difference at the end of the day. So now that we've done that, let's actually go ahead and blast through these rare recruit characters, because there's a small amount of them we need to go through. First one is Squad. Squad is not really all that. His stats are okay. 75 recovery is pretty bad. So captain ability does not change. Goes down to a 7-turn cooldown. So he is reduce your crew's health by 30%. Okay, and 10 times attack and fixed damage to one enemy. And then there's a 1.75 orb booster to all characters. Nope, skip that one. No, thank you. No, thank you. Next one is Haruta. So Haruta, back in the day, was one of the first units to give you the dupe dropping effect, which is cool. Stats are pretty bad, and cooldown goes down to nothing. You legit get no cooldown? Oh boy. Yeah, I mean, stage 1 is really low, but at the end of the day, that does really nothing. Yeah, this is bad. Yeah, don't even think about spending your materials on Haruta. Next one is Atmos, who I think a lot of people have been talking about in the community. So let's talk about Atmos. Atmos is, well, he's got a decent amount of HP for a rare recruit character. Attack is very low, recovery is very low. Cooldown is 13 turns with, so he gets none with expansion. That's a little annoying. He does 7 hits of random typeless damage to random enemies and reduces Bind and Despair by 3 turns. Okay. But he does get double special activation. Okay, that's why people like this guy. So he has double special activation, which can enable you to get 6 turns of Bind and Despair removal and 14 combo hits. I guess if you need it for some specific reason, but I feel like if you need to remove that much Bind and Despair, there's plenty of other characters that can already do that, such as like Ambushed Linlin, V1 Rayleigh 6+, the Psy Rare Recruit Kuma. There's like so many other characters that I would prefer to use over this character. I guess if you need to remove that amount of Bind and Despair and the enemy has a really high combo hit barrier, in that situation, I suppose, but like there's so many other characters that you could use compared to this guy. I mean, I guess he's the best of the ones we've talked through thus far, but there's other characters that just replace what he does. Jesus Burgess, this character's not that good, but let's have a look anyway. HP's good, attack is recovery's Cooldown is 10 turns, and it will be a 1.5 fighter attack booster for 5 turns. Okay. And he gets cooldown reduction too. Okay. Cooldown reduction by a certain amount of turns. Yeah, I don't know how many cooldown he goes down to. I would assume he would be like ready to go on turn 1. Which I guess it's not terrible, but like 1.5 boost, it's like, it's pretty meh in my opinion. No, I wouldn't waste materials on a character like that. No, thank you. Next is Mr. Zero. Mr. Zero, this guy has a really good support ability. If you haven't maxed his support, I would suggest doing it. So his stats, okay, he gets 9 turn cooldown total. That's pretty good. And then does he get another ability? Sailor Despair reduction. That's good. That's actually pretty good. Yeah, because he's a special cooldown reducer on a 9 turn cooldown. And you know, if you ever get inflicted with that fear debuff where your sailor ability is like locked out, that's really good to have because it means that you can still reduce the character's cooldowns. Yeah, I like this a lot. I think this is probably one of the better ones that we've talked through thus far. Because what is his other abilities? His other 2 abilities are damage reduction ones. That sucks. If this guy had like, maybe double special activation, that'd be pretty broken, but that would be so nice. Because he also boosts, the attack and orbs of strikers by 1.5 on a 9 turn cooldown. So like that's a small boost, but I feel like, I know it's just yeah, it boosts the attack and amplifies orbs. Yeah, so I feel like you'd only really use it for this effect for strikers. Are there any other strikers that like are cooldown reducers like that? I'm sure there are. I can't think of any off the top of my head. He's okay. He's okay. I don't think he's like a god tier unit that's like you must do it, but it's fine. There are 2 other ones coming up here which I'm really interested to have a look at. So Boa Sandersonia and Boa Marigold are the next 2. Let's have a look at this one first. So Sandersonia, stats are whatever. Let's have a look here. 10 turn cooldown is very good and reduces ship bind. Okay, that kind of sucks, but 10 turn cooldown for what she does, that's not terrible, I suppose. Let's have a look at Boa Marigold. I assume Marigold's very similar. Like, I assume she's literally like a mirror image. Like 10 turn cooldown as well. Yeah, 10 turn cooldown, same effects. Okay, like they're fine. I guess if you really need them to be that specific cooldown, then go for it, but yeah, they're not all that. And then the next one is Coby. Let's have a look at Coby real quick. This is the quick one that came out with Luffy and Ace. So this Coby, stats, whatever, cooldown goes down to 10 turns. Okay, 10 turns, and what does he do again? Deals 50 times attack quick damage, randomizes all orbs including block into type orbs, and then if the crew has 3 more quick characters, boost free spirit characters attack by 2 times. And ship bind. He's not good. Nah, I wouldn't do it. I have not used this character in, like honestly, I don't even think I've used him since like Luffy and Ace was out. Like I used him when Luffy and Ace was out, obviously, but past that, I don't even remember the other, like another time that I've actually used him. So that really sucks. This is actually the last character of the limited rare recruit of the Limit Break expansion batch, which is Sengoku. this character is really good. If we're talking about just straight out which rare recruit of the batches that we've talked about today are the best, this is the best rare recruit that we've talked about today, so I hope that his expansion's good. So, stats, fine. 2 turns of cooldown down to 14. That's good. And shipbind. Shipbind sucks. This is not very good. This effect would be fine. It's just the fact that shipbind is such an uncommon effect that it's essentially a wasted slot. Like, even like the fear ability, in my opinion, is much more worth it compared to the shipbind one. This really sucks, man. But 12 turn cooldown for what he does is actually pretty good. I'd be tempted to do it because like the additional 2 turns of cooldown is so nice. And I remember looking up I don't remember which content it was, but there was a piece of content on Japan that when it came out to global, I remember watching someone else make a video of it, and they had this Sengoku on the team, and the team would only work legit because it had the additional 2 cooldowns on Sengoku. I don't remember what content it was against, but very, very interesting. I do think that this is probably the best of the rare recruits that we've talked about, and I think giving him 2 additional turns of cooldown is actually kind of worth it. So if you are going to choose any of the rare recruits that we've talked about in this video, I feel like Sengoku is the easy best choice here because the 2 additional cooldown is just absurdly good. And the thing about it is there's basically no other Sengoku in the game right now that's like rivaling for a spot on the team. Like, this is legitimately the best Sengoku in the game if you don't count the support Sengoku, who is also very, very good. But I feel like this Sengoku is like the best Sengoku in the game, so like, yeah, I feel like it's kind of worth it in my opinion. But that's my opinion. You guys might have different opinions about that, but in my opinion, he is the best one to choose. So there we go, guys. That is the Limit Break expansion batch. So there should be timestamps to go through each of the characters on the timeline of the video, so make sure you go ahead and check out any particular character you want to go ahead and check out. But you know, this guy is actually pretty surprising, honestly. Like, this Shanks is super surprising, getting up to a 4.25 captain. Super interesting. But that is going to wrap up the video today. I really hope you guys enjoyed this one, and if you guys did, make sure to leave a like. And if you want to stay up to date with all the content I post, including more One Piece Treasure Cruise content, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. But on that, guys, I'll see you guys within the next video.